welcome to the True North Show. I'm your host, Megan North, and I would like to thank our sponsors of the show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, Anne C. Clark, and our lovely guest who paid to be featured on this episode. Today, I am joined by an incredibly inspiring woman who I met about a month ago, and I just knew she needed to share her story here on the show. Naomi is a divorce coach and strategist, specialising in helping individuals navigate separation with clarity, compassion, and confidence. With lived experience of a 17-year marriage breakdown, Naomi brings a rare blend of empathy and strategy, drawing on her professional background in healthcare, education, and coaching to empower clients to rebuild their lives with resilience. Amid her professional achievements, Naomi's personal life was undergoing profound change. After 17 years of marriage, she faced the painful reality of separation and divorce. Like many, she was confronted not only with the emotional toll, but also with the daunting practicalities of financial uncertainty, parenting transitions, and redefining identity. Naomi allowed herself time to grieve the loss of her marriage and the family unit she had worked so hard to protect. But she also began the journey of reclaiming her voice, her independence, and her sense of self. Her lived experience became the foundation of her coaching practice, a powerful reminder that even in the most fragmented of times, split happens, finding power in the pieces. Out of her journey, Naomi founded Naomi Cao Coaching, where she helps her clients prioritize what matters most for children's welfare, financial stability, emotional well-being, and break overwhelming challenges into manageable steps. She reminds her clients and herself that when split happens is not the ending but beginning of a new chapter. Welcome to the show, Naomi. I'm thrilled that you are joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to be on your show.
Fantastic. How does it sound when I read your bio out and you sort of were sitting there reflecting on your journey?
Wow, I never thought I'd be in this place, but at the same time, I'm thinking, wow, I've achieved so much because you don't really sit back and reflect on how far you've come. You're always living in the now, and it's really humbling.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. So let's dive right in. So we know a little bit of your background, but can you share with us because the coaching that you're doing now and the split happens is obviously a real focus for you now because you're using all of the experience that you have had and now you're focusing that on your clients. So
Yes.
what was the defining moment that then led you to pursue this as a passion and a purpose?
Well, it probably started. Well, my separation happened in 2017, and that year I think it was a bit of a blur. And then 2018 came by, and in the midst of it all, my daughter wanted a 6th birthday party, and she said, "Mum, I really want to have a superhero party." And I think it was close around the time when Wonder Woman was released in the movies.
Yes.
So previously, when I was married, I was able to afford the characters that came and entertained the kids at the time. But being separated financially, I was a little bit low on funds. So I decided to go online and buy a costume for her and I. So we dressed up in Wonder Woman outfits that year. And I think 6 is probably the only time your daughter will let you get away with wearing the same thing as her. And we had such a wonderful time that year. And there was this picture that she and I took together. And it was that Wonder Woman power pose. And when I went home that night and I had a look at the photos that we had taken, I looked at her and there was this fierceness in her face.
Okay.
And, and I just looked at it and I thought, oh my God, in all of this, I was in 2017 and the beginning of 2018, I was like, oh, poor me. how can I survive? How can I survive? I looked at that picture of her and it just gave me so much strength. And then I thought, you know what? I want to be my children's Wonder Woman.
Mm.
And how was I going to make that happen was the beginning. That was sort of like the fire that
Mm.
that started. And it was a whole series of events after that, that I just thought, well, what can I offer our children moving forward so that they will look back on these years and think, yep, mum and dad split up, but what did she do? How did she live her life? And how can we use that as learning lessons later on? Because you often hear kids don't do as you say, they do as you do.
As you do,
They say
yeah.
monkey see, monkey do. And so that's how that's what changed for me. That was
Mm.
the moment, the pivotal moment.
Wow, I love that. And then through that journey, are the things that you work with your clients on things that you found difficult to find support on through your journey?
Oh, totally, totally. Things that I help my clients with is processing the the back and forth communication with the co-parent. And especially when my marriage ended, when my husband decided it was over,
Mhm.
and then I just felt like I was stuck on this conveyor belt and going along and going, okay, well, I guess I'll have to listen to how you dictate things were going to move forward. And I do have some clients who are in that position where one party just suddenly ends the relationship.
Mm.
And so for them, there is a lot of pain that they have to catch up with, a lot of those questions of what if, and trying to explore what went wrong, because I think
Mm.
that's a lot in human nature to try and figure out what went wrong in that relationship, what could I have done. And I think this is where we can't change a lot of the past,
Mm.
but we actually have to look at what do we need to do moving forward to change our path.
Mm, yeah. And it's interesting too, because I think from what I've read in relation to divorces and those sort of things, there's usually one person that it's probably been going through their mind for a couple of years before they even start to speak up. I mean, I know that was the same for me in my first marriage.
Yes.
And I remember speaking to my girlfriend about it, plucking up enough courage to talk to her. I was with my husband for 18 years. And she said, I've been waiting 3 years to have this conversation with you, because she could see it in me that things were changing. But yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, that there's often, it's not often that the change happens in the couple simultaneously. It's usually one and then it's the other.
Yeah, and there is a lag, and you're right. A couple of years is what it comes down to, because people know when the relationship is not working. But
Mm,
sometimes you're at a place where two people have lost so much of their communication that they don't even know how to lean into that difficult conversation during those 2 years, and
yeah.
so it splits further and further apart until it's at a point where one party decides, I can't do it anymore.
Mm,
And that's when it ends and the other party is not ready.
mm,
So, yeah, that's a lot of, probably about 40 to 50% of my clients, that one person decides to end the relationship
mm.
abruptly.
Mm, mm. And so I could imagine that the work that you're doing with your clients is a lot of relatable things that you can help them with too, because you're not just a coach, but you're a counselor. I'm assuming that you're a
Sometimes I feel like that, yes.
yeah, definitely. And a finder of things and people, I would suspect as well, because
Yeah,
there'd be, I guess, some things that you probably can't assist them with, but then you would need to be putting them onto other people to help them with those things. And you're almost a navigator as well for them.
that's right. Yeah, so and it was is with the divorce coaching and strategy, it is one part, but you're right. And I look at it now as more divorce management,
Yeah.
because it's very similar to a project manager where, if you're renovating a house, you have somebody liaising with the plumber and the electrician and the tiler and so forth. I become that person. So when I identify that is trauma or there is a lot of things that need to be dealt with emotionally, I refer them to a counsellor or psychotherapist. So I do have a really good referral network, a really trusted one that I rely on. And I hand my clients over to them, so that they can work with those specialists and then come back to me to take them on the next part of their journey. Yeah.
And are you able to give an example? Like, have you ever had someone that's come to you that has been really angry, but then because of the guidance and the support you've been able to give them, has that anger dissipated and they've actually approached the situation differently?
Oh, most definitely. And some of the transformation that has happened in a lot of individuals, it can vary, but sometimes it's that initial conversation. I had a lady contact me once, and she was her husband had become an alcoholic, and she didn't want to stay in that relationship anymore. And we ended up having a consultation together where she ended up, they've got a young child together. And he was looking after the young child at the time, and she disappeared for a couple of hours to talk to me. So when she came back home, he was really upset and go, "Where did you go?" And it got quite confrontational that she ended up contacting me quite scared. And she said, "Naomi, he knows." And I asked, "What does he know?" And she said, "Oh, he knows that I've been speaking to you." So I always take them back a little bit and say it's okay that they know that you have spoken to somebody. How about we reach out to him and see if he's interested in entering the conversation as well? He was very reluctant, but she did. She did, and she ended up reaching out to him and said, "Look, Naomi's a divorce coach. She's not anybody legal, and so it's not about taking you to court or anything like that, but it's actually helping us find ways to move forward." So he was reluctant, but he agreed. And I had a conversation with him separately just to see where his mind's at. And then we had a consultation together, and it was late at night. And we ended up, I guess, speaking in general terms. And it wasn't, his biggest fear was that he wasn't going to see his son.
Right.
And her biggest fear is that he wasn't safe enough to be with their son for a long period of time. So for the first half of that conversation, he had his camera off. So it was really hard to connect with him. Halfway through, we were talking about all the things that is important. And we looked at, because this is a very young child, so we looked at the years ahead, what that could potentially look like. The realities that they will go and repartner, the realities that they will still rely on each other to co-parent in the next 15, 16 years. So halfway through that conversation, he decided to turn his camera on.
Wow.
And that was a huge moment for me because I thought, I've gained his trust. And in that split moment, I reached out and I said to him, "Thank you so much for turning on the camera, because what that tells me is that you trust me enough to be in this presence." And before I carried on, I just asked him, "How are you?" Because he looked, he looked really tired, really drained and really worn out. So I asked him and I said to him, "How are you, first of all, before we continue?" And he said to me, "Naomi, I just feel bad and I'm in rehab at the moment and I'm not feeling good about myself." So I said to him, the fact that he admitted that to me in the half an hour that we were engaged showed tremendous bravery. You don't go around admitting to people, "I've got an issue, an addiction." But what he's done is actually, he said to me, he's got an addiction, but he's doing something about it. So I wanted to acknowledge him for that. And that showed that he was on a mission to be a better version of himself. So that gave us a starting point. And I think that was the first conversation that she had heard him admit that as well.
Wow.
So we delved on that and how that was going to make a positive impact on him becoming a better parent. And then how she could lean in to support him to be that better parent. So I asked him, do you understand why your wife has reservations about you looking after your child? And he says, yeah, I know. I might fall asleep. I might be too drunk. So he acknowledged those areas. And again, that was the first time, keep on dropping the microphone. That was the first time she'd also was aware that he acknowledged those and recognized that that was an issue. So I said to her, I asked her, how often or how long do you think that he is capable of looking after your son, and how long do you feel that it is safe for you to let go and trust him to do that parenting? So she said about 1 or 2 hours. And I said, well, that's a really good start. So we looked at how he could look after their child 1 or 2 hours before she got home. So what did that look like? So it meant picking up their child from daycare, going home, giving them a bath, reading a bedtime story, and getting them ready for dinner. And then she'll come home and they'll have dinner together. So we agreed on those terms, and we looked at what days we could do that. So we looked at 1 week where it was Monday, Thursday, Saturday, and he could take their child swimming for swimming lessons. And then on the other week, we looked at Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, because then that would involve him in the different activities. So I said to both of them, are we happy with this arrangement? And we took into consideration the child's sleep time, nap times, and so forth. And they were both really happy. So we worked out on that plan because that plan was a way forward for them. It wasn't dismissing the fact that there are safety concerns with his drinking and so forth, but they were committed to that 1 or 2 hours where he wasn't, and it was a really positive change. So we finished the call and I texted her and I said, how do you think it went? And she did a screenshot back for me to look at. And he wrote, thank you so much for organising that session. After so many weeks of rain, I feel a ray of sunshine.
Oh my gosh.
And even when I repeat it now, it just makes me tear up.
Me
And
too.
I just think there is no amount of money that can value what I just did for that couple.
Yeah.
And facilitated. They really came up with their own solutions, but it was really just working on what he needed, what she needed, and how we could move forward. We didn't delve on the conflict, but we looked at the positivity in that situation. And that's how I work. And after that, I didn't hear from them again. And I check in from time to time. And she said to me, we've managed to sort out our finances. We're working on a better co-parenting relationship. We just know the path forward. And I guess it just took that moment where I had to have that difficult conversation with them and say, you do have to be co-parents. If you break this bond that once upon a time you loved each other enough to have a child together, if you break this bond, what it does is it has a flow-on effect later on. So when your child is 12 and you've repartnered with someone else who has kids, but their weekends don't line up, you need that weekend swap. You want to have a good relationship with your unit that you're able to do that. And they saw a lot of sense in that. And that just helped reduce the conflict.
Yeah.
It gave them a path forward. And I love that story. And it's one of my, I guess, my stories that really reminds me of what I do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, there's other stories that go along the way, but I just love that text that he sent to her because it was so metaphoric but it was just so uplifting. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I just like, wow, Naomi, just so beautiful. I mean, I got emotional as well because it's just such a beautiful story. And don't you love those moments that you're just part of someone's journey, but you've been able to give them that safe space. You've been able to help them to move forward.
Oh, totally. It's
Yeah.
it's um it's part of somebody's growth,
Yes.
and to see that growth, and sometimes I guess, like because I do this every single day, I I don't realize where they've come from and how
Yeah.
it's impacted them
Yes.
until they give me feedback and said, Naomi, I remember the time you said this and how that has shaped me, changed the course.
Mm.
And for me, that's the recognition that I just love, in the sense that um, it's changed their life,
Yes. Yeah.
and for
Absolutely.
the better.
Yeah.
And being part of that journey with them at their
Mm.
most vulnerable, and helping them see that light, it's just so rewarding.
It's very, like, I always feel like I'm in a very privileged position when I'm working with a client
Yeah.
because you're creating that safe space. They're looking for you for guidance and they really trust you. And it is a really privileged position to be in.
Oh, totally. For them to have so much trust, some of the conversations that I have, I just think, I can't believe they're actually telling me this,
Yeah.
because I do feel like a really trusted friend.
Mm.
And you're right, it's such a privilege
Mm.
because it's almost sitting in that cone of silence with them,
Yeah.
where they know that it's not going to go beyond that cone of silence. It
Mm.
only exists between me and them, and they can show their worst, they can show their best, and
Mm.
there's no judgment.
Yeah, it is. It's really beautiful. And just to be on that journey with them too and to watch them grow and change. And it's just, yeah, I hear you and I feel you when you talk like that because I feel like that with clients as well. It's just really special.
Yeah, it's special, almost like magical to see
Yeah.
that transformation,
Yes.
because I remind them sometimes, "Hey, remember when you first came to see me?" And they go, "I know, I've come so far." And it's really beautiful.
Yeah, so maybe it's something that we should do as coaches as well, is that we then look back and think, wow, where was I 3 months ago? And how, because I'm always trying to, I always do that with my clients, but I don't necessarily do it with me. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to do that because I think, how have I shown up differently from month to month or week to week with the people I'm working with, so that there is that self-reflection as well, because I also want to grow as well.
Oh, I think some of the challenging clients where they present with um, all sorts of issues actually pushes us to become better coaches.
Absolutely.
And we look at different creative ways in
Mm,
how we can assist them,
mm.
coach them see a different path.
Yeah.
And it might take a couple tries at times. Yeah, but it is so rewarding, and to see that transformation for them, and their outlook on their situation changes over time.
Mm, mm.
Or we have those moments where they go, "Oh, I should be doing this, but I won't," because it's that realization. And I think that that's a lot of um, the issues, is that we go down a certain pathway for our thinking, that we don't take that step back and go, hang on a minute.
Mm,
And that constant self-reflection is
mm.
so needed.
Definitely. Yeah, it's being in that present moment as well, isn't it? It's catching
Mm.
yourself, or
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. Catching yourself. It's
Yeah.
catching yourself, spiraling down, or catching yourself, because it takes a conscious effort to
Mm,
constantly pull yourself out of it. to keep yourself in check.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just going to take a short break and hear from our sponsors, and then we come back. I'm going to talk more about you now. I'm not going to talk about your clients anymore. Thanks, Naomi. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, Naomi. So, Naomi, I would love to know how you maintain and balance and prioritize your mental well-being in the midst of pursuing your dreams.
Oh, how do I meet? I exercise. I make sure I exercise at least 3 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got 3 dogs that I spend a lot of times cuddling them.
3 dogs. Wow, they must
Yeah,
keep you really busy.
yeah, very, very busy. Um, so I do spend a lot of times with the dogs, go and exercise, and it is like walking. I do resistance training with my personal trainer because
Mm-hmm.
everybody needs, especially women in perimenopause, we need to have that weight training. So I've been doing that. I love cooking. I
Mm.
love cooking, and that's something that I do, and I prepare my meals every single day. I love meal planning. I find joy when my children enjoy eating the food.
Yes.
And the other thing that I do is I ended up setting up a support group for people who feel displaced in Sydney. So mums and dads who've come out of relationships and find themselves, hey, I've got no friends, or I've got very few friends, or I've got very few single friends. So I've
Mm.
established a Facebook group in Sydney, and it's called Sydney Friends. And there's about 1,700 of us.
Wow.
And it's a safe environment where people, if I decide, oh, I've got a free afternoon without kids today, I put up a post. Anybody want to come and meet me at so and so bar and have a drink, or we can meet at the Rowers Club and have dinner. And it's almost like hire a friend. So we've got all these friends that come along, and it's just a beautiful community. So there's always, I find the biggest thing is the human connection.
Mm.
That gives me a lot of joy, and I think finding a lot of connection with other people and sharing the stories, what differences that we have,
Mm.
and what we can bring to the table is so enriching.
Mm.
And
Beautiful.
that
I love
that
that.
keeps, I've got the kids, I've got the dogs, I've got the cooking, and I've got people.
I love
What more
that.
do I need in life?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It's a beautiful balance. It's really special. And I could imagine too that because I mean, I know I got divorced a long time ago now, but your identity changes because all the people you know who are in your life know you as the married person married to that person.
Yeah,
And then when you're not, it's you almost need. I mean, I've still got people around me that were around at that time, but it's also you also need a new fresh energy around you because those people don't know that old version of you. They
No,
just know this version.
that's right. That's right. And that's what I found with a lot of the mums that I used to go out to dinners with or lunches with when I was married. Originally, I was included in all of that.
Mm,
But then after a while, people drop off. I dropped off as well because I just felt that was no longer my life as well.
mm-hmm.
And I just need to find my people. I needed, and our lives change and our friendship group changes, and people do come into your life at different times.
Mm,
And yeah, so definitely. And for women, I think a lot of women go out and search for those new friends. Sometimes with men, we do actually have to encourage them
yeah,
um, to be included in that.
yeah.
And I find that in a lot in my Sydney friends. Every single time we have a dinner out or an event out, we probably get one man to every five women. But it is constantly sort of like encouraging them to come out and get that social part of their life again.
Mm,
And a lot of men do lose that when they separate from their families because it was couples who've
mhm,
decided to go one side or the other with different friendship groups. So
mm.
yeah, it's important to reach out to our men as well.
So that's a real balance for you then in your mental well-being. You know, you've got the physical, you've got the pet therapy, which is always amazing.
Great oxytocin, right? We've got to hack our feel good hormone.
Yes, definitely, definitely. And so, look, your background is incredible, and the journey that you're on now is so different to what you expected your life to be. As you know, as I think all of us are. At times, we have these moments. But can
Yeah.
you share a significant challenge that you have faced and that you've overcome it to stay aligned with this passion and purpose you're now pursuing? Anything that's come up that's
Oh, I
needed
guess,
to really work on?
yeah, look, I guess my parents are Vietnamese refugees. So we came over to Australia with nothing
Mm,
and on a boat. And so all of my life, there's always challenges, growing up down in Victoria in a hostel to start off with, migrant hostel, and then going into the community. I was one of the few Asian people in Australia at the time in the 80s. So it was getting over that whole stigma. Everybody thinks I was Chinese and I'm Vietnamese, like all Asians look the same sort of thing. And getting that differentiation.
mm.
And I had a Vietnamese name. So growing up, I had Ngoc Han as my Vietnamese name. And throughout high school and primary school, people got my name wrong. Um, and I don't think I ever had a Christmas card or a birthday card that was spelled correctly from my direct group of friends.
Wow.
So it was all variations of the different names. So it was just overcoming those
Mm,
things as a child. And my parents, when we first came over to Australia, we didn't have a lot of money. So for most of my primary and high school life, I couldn't go to birthday parties and
mm,
participate in those or sleepovers or anything like that. So there was a lot of that I needed to overcome as well.
mm.
And then when I went to uni, I changed my name to Naomi. And for a long time, my parents didn't know who I was. And so the good old phone line, people would call up and say, "Hey, Naomi, can I speak to Naomi, please?" And Dad would go, "Wrong number," and just hang up. So, and for months on end, I'd walk around in uni and people would call, "Hey, Naomi," and I just didn't even know it was my name. People must have thought I was some snob. But yeah, the reality was I didn't know my name for a while. And so then, becoming a pharmacist and pharmacy was a 3-year course and I became a pharmacist at 21. So I was very,
Wow.
very young. And a lot
Mm.
of the times people didn't acknowledge that I was a pharmacist. It's
You had
just
the baby face.
I was bouncing around, and they thought I was just, dusting the shelves. So like I face challenges, but I look at challenges as opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I had I had children and I decided to open up a kids education business, I saw everything as opportunities and the possibilities. And especially working with children, everything is a possibility. And
Yeah.
I love capturing that young mind thinking. And I've learnt so much from children where they just go, well, why can't you do this, Naomi? And it'll capture me at those moments. And I'm thinking, yeah, why can't you do that? It
Mm.
wasn't good enough just to say, no, you can't. But
Mm-hmm.
why couldn't you? And so that really shaped the way that I think and how I approach my coaching business now. So
Mm.
when clients come to me and say, oh, I can't do this, or I don't think I can do this, or I don't think I can suggest this,
Mm.
my question will always be back at them, why can't you?
Why? Yeah.
And so I look at these challenges as always opportunities. So
Mm.
I rarely see things as challenges. I
Yeah.
just see them as speed bumps
Yeah.
because they slow me down, but I will get over it. Yeah.
Mm. And do you think, because, a lot of people, when they talk about, like, a lot of the clients that I work with finding their true north,
Yeah.
or people just following their passion and their purpose, like for you, is it a combination of having confidence and courage, or is it sometimes courage, or do you feel that you need those two emotions to help you step into something new, or is it just something innate in that you just do?
Well, it was interesting. This is an interesting one, and I think you will appreciate it. I've got this astrology book
Mm-hmm.
that's got my birthday, and I've looked up my birthday, and it says that I'm the maverick. I don't conform, and I love to do things differently.
Right. Okay.
But this was before I even discovered this book. I'm always that person who always likes to think, well, what can we do?
Mm.
And I remember one of my earliest memories. I went to a Catholic school in Victoria growing up, and we had summer uniforms and winter
Oh,
uniforms.
yes. Yep.
Yes.
Same. Yep. Yep.
And in the summer, you wore a blue t-shirt, but in winter, you wore a blue skivvy, the good old skivvy with the high
Yes.
turtleneck,
Yeah.
and a tunic out the front. And my mum said, I knew that my parents didn't have a lot of money, and my mum ended up becoming a seamstress. And I said to her, I want you to find a matching blue material, and I just need you to do the neck. And I became this young inventor. So I put this neck on top of my t-shirt so it looked like a skivvy.
Yeah.
So from that early stage, I always looked at ways to improve a situation that's non-traditional.
Yep.
Um, because I think we can always make things work if we look at it from a different angle. So I've always been drawn into seeking out better solutions. So the work that I do, I love seeing new problems or
Mm.
new challenges and then seeing how can we do it better.
Mm.
And that's how I ended up managing my court case, my family court case, and that's how I help my clients.
Mm.
And it is about discovering what are the things that are your values, what are the things that are important for you,
Mm.
and then working on new solutions. So for me, it's always about finding new solutions.
Yeah. And also, I think it sounds like too that you're curious to explore a different perspective as well.
Yeah.
So
Oh, and
you
and I'm never afraid to ask the dumb questions.
And so back to the skivvy, was it because the skivvy, like it was too hot with the skivvy and then the tunic? Like, is
No,
that
because
why?
my parents didn't have enough money to buy
Oh,
the skivvy. So
right.
I found a solution so that we didn't have to buy the skivvy. So in summer, I could pull the neck off and it was a t-shirt. And then in winter, I'd put the neck on and then it would be so that would, yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. Wow, how inventive of you. But
If
also,
only I could make a detachable thing and sell it as merchandise.
yeah. But I also love, Naomi, that that's so like the compassion that you created for your parents as well, because you knew that they couldn't afford that. So you found a different solution that you could get around that. Oh, I love that. That's really beautiful.
Yeah, thank
That's
you.
really beautiful. And I'm also curious to know, why did you pick the name Naomi?
Oh, this is an interesting one. I'm not sure if I can reveal it all, but
Okay.
no. But I because my Vietnamese name is Ngoc Han, starting with the letter N. I wanted to lean on that, and yeah, I explored different names, Natasha, Natalie, but I also had friends in school that was or other N names as well.
Yeah.
So that narrowed it down to Naomi.
Right. Love it. I'm always curious about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
it's funny because you know when you pick a name for your child and then they grow into that name, if that makes sense. I just felt I grew into that
you
name
grew
as
into
well. I looked at it and I'm like, oh yeah, that's me.
and you did grow into it because it took you a few months to actually know that was the name.
Who are they talking
Who,
about?
who is this Naomi? Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Oh yeah.
And so, do you have any practices or rituals that you incorporate into your daily life to stay grounded and focused?
Yeah, so I wake up in the morning and I start off the morning with, like all my skincare routines and what have you. Then I get into making my children's school lunches. Now, I've gone down from three because the two boys are at uni now, and I've only got one school lunch. So I love to do a really good lunch. My kids have never had sandwiches. They've had lasagna, they've had salad. She's got a nice chicken salad for lunch today. And it's always like this nice work of art because I grew up eating ham sandwiches and peanut butter sandwiches,
Mm,
and I don't want my kids to have that same experience. And because I love putting food together,
yeah,
I love enjoy I do that. So
yeah.
that's my first joy in the morning, getting her off into giving her a
Beautiful.
nice lunch, and then I take the dogs for a walk. Take the dogs for a walk, and sometimes I might listen to happy music, dancing music, because
Mhm.
that's always gives me an. Or the other thing is to listen to more relaxing music, more zen, depending on the day and the mood. But
Mm,
I find that going out into nature, walking along the water, down by the bay, sitting down on the grass, just absorbing the sounds of the birds and the
yeah.
waves, it's just very grounding.
Yeah, beautiful. And I
Yeah.
think it's important, particularly with the clients that you're working with as well, because sometimes I'm imagining that they're in crisis, they're grieving, there's a lot of energy happening. So I guess you need to be careful to not be taking on that energy. But then if you are, that how do you bring yourself back to earth in a
Yeah.
sense and ground yourself?
Oh, most definitely. And,
Mm,
when I first started, it was a bit like that because I was getting, oh, how could they do that to you? I felt like I was getting angry with the client and I just thought, hang on a minute, this is not healthy for me. I can't be doing this. I'll be on the roller coaster every day. And yeah, I did have to find techniques to do that. I do also have a counselor that I know where the trigger points is, and there'll be times I'll go, I need to come back and see you
yeah.
because I need to debrief.
Hmm.
But yeah, the exercise is such a wonderful thing, and we don't um, recognize it enough. Just a simple walk. It doesn't have to be a boxing class or anything crazy, but doing that 20 minutes of walking a day and just being in that moment where you walk and looking at the trees and looking at the sun and looking at the clouds is just removes a lot of that anxiety and extra things that you don't need to hold on to.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm one of those people that when I walk, like I don't even listen to anything because I want my brain to kind of empty out in a sense, I want to hear the birds and I want to I also want to hear if there's a car behind me when I'm crossing a road, those sort of things, the practical things. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I find that if I go for a walk and I'm listening to something, I don't feel as grounded or as present.
Yeah, in the last 2 weeks, I've actually made an active choice that every person I've walked along the way, I say good morning to.
Yes, isn't it lovely?
And it's just so beautiful. And I've had some really wonderful conversations with different people.
Yeah.
But it's just, and making eye contact sometimes,
Yes.
good morning. And
Yeah.
it takes so little. It's yeah, like a couple of seconds in my day to just say good morning to someone, smile, and just continue walking.
Yeah. And you don't know what that person is going through. Depending on if they're having a really horrible morning, then they feel like they've been seen, that they've been acknowledged, that someone has just smiled at them. Like I find that too. It's always my challenge when I'm walking along. Who can I convert? If you see them coming down the road and they're kind of, and then you go morning, and they're like, oh, good morning.
Yes, it really catches people off guard
Yeah,
because so many people just walk around and exist that I think it's so important to go back and acknowledge people's presence. Like you said, you don't
yeah,
know what they're going through that day, that week, but just
exactly.
that positivity can change their whole mood.
And I also think too, it's a great example that you've given as well, because it doesn't cost you anything. It's really easy. Um, it's, like I think sometimes when we're thinking about, oh, I've got to ground myself, or I've got to meditate, or I've got to, my mental health and well-being, but it doesn't need to be an overwhelming thing. It can just be a quick good morning to someone, and that makes you feel really great as well
Oh,
when they
yeah, yeah.
respond.
Yeah, and to see them on a day-to-day basis, and then it can strike up some amazing conversations. Oh, I
Yeah,
didn't see you yesterday.
yeah.
And for them to, like you said, so many people might not feel like that they have a presence, and for somebody to notice them on the little things,
Mm,
it changes people's
mm,
lives.
mm.
And yeah, it's so little, and like you said, it is so free.
I know, like it's so
It
easy.
doesn't cost anything. So
Doesn't cost
people
you.
can't even say, "Oh, economic crisis."
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are in the world with that one.
That's right. And I've always said it takes more muscles to smile than to frown because I can't afford Botox. So it comes back to the skivvy again. I can't afford it, so I'll rather do the positive thing, which is smile.
And one thing, actually, the skivvy then hides all of these things anyway,
Yeah.
right? It's,
Oh,
and
that could be a new thing. It's a new
yeah,
market. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Don't air it yet until I actually make this thing and I can sell it.
Oh, that's funny. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. So your story is incredible, and I feel like we've only just touched on the surface of your story, really. But in what ways do you believe that your personal story and what we've just spoken about today, with you just always being curious and why can't you do things, how do you think that that would inspire or impact others that are listening today?
I think as we get well, when you're a child and people it resonates with a lot of people when we hear our children or young, mouths of babes, some of the stuff that comes out. And you say, oh my God. And then we conform as we
Mm,
get older and we conform and you shouldn't say that or no, that's not appropriate. Um, and I don't mean things in a hurtful way
mm,
because that is inappropriate.
mm,
But that curiosity is sort of like boxed in,
mm,
and we don't ask the questions for fear of, I guess, feeling stupid, or other people thinking that we're silly.
mm,
Um, but it's important to ask the questions when you don't understand it
mm,
so that you can seek clarity. And what that does is it can actually open new opportunities for you. Um, I didn't know the divorce coach thing was a thing. I just, part of my journey when I was going through my situation was I set up a support group, and it started off more as a support group for women going through the system and understanding the emotions and the heartache that
Mm.
goes with that. And I found myself gravitating and coaching those people, and that's how it all, transpired.
Mm. Mm.
And um, and seeing those possibilities and seeing those, you don't know if you don't ask,
Yeah.
and you don't know what you don't know. So
Yeah.
it's okay to ask. And
Yes.
the sooner that we actually keep on saying to our kids, it's okay to ask.
Mm.
It's okay to ask, the silly questions, because sometimes that silly question could be the beginning of something great.
Yeah, a great spark.
You know,
Mm.
and we don't
Mm.
we don't encourage that enough.
Yeah, I love that. It's
Mm.
really beautiful. So can you believe that we've only got a couple of minutes left?
I was watching the time and I'm thinking, I don't want it to end.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, you'll have to come back. You'll have to
Yeah,
come back. We'll
I'd
have to
love to.
further our conversation. So I'm
Yeah.
going to ask you the same question that I ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
Um, Something that my mum said to me, and it's not that I didn't know earlier, but I didn't trust it enough because my mum is a very wise woman.
Mm.
And she said, trust that the right people will come into your life at the right time to help you in whatever you need to do.
Mm.
So when people say, "Oh, I met that person," and blah blah blah, and putting it out to the universe and seeing all these things, and I didn't believe it before, and I guess I tried to fight it because I had other agendas, but I really really do believe that people come into your life for a reason
Mm.
to help you on your journey through life. And whether you learn a lesson from them or whether you end up having 3 children with them,
Mm.
they were there to teach you something about you
Mm.
and really to have that trust.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Really beautiful. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. And
Thank
thanks, Mum, for gifting you that wisdom.
Oh, she's a great woman.
Naomi, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your story. I feel really grateful that we've met. And, as I said, it was only about a month ago, but I
I
knew
know.
there was a connection there. So it's really lovely. So
Yeah,
thank
so when you asked me, I was so excited. I was like, yes,
you.
I didn't know I had to think.
I love that. I love that. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
And I'd like to thank all of our amazing and dedicated audience, our supporters, and to our sponsors. And I hope that you all have an amazing, wonderful rest of the week. And I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thank you again, Naomi.
Thanks.